What's up, guys? It's Wardlow here with the Battleground Podcast, telling you to check out AEW Dynamite live from Nashville, Tennessee at the Municipal Auditorium. Going to be a hell of a show.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back into another episode of the Battleground Podcast. Man, it is a fun, exciting week. It has been since 2 years, over 2 years, just about, since AEW has been in Nashville. And every time we have everybody on from AEW, when are you coming back to Nashville? When are you coming back to Nashville? Well, finally, we get the answer. AEW makes their return to Nashville on Wednesday, February 16th, Municipal Auditorium. Of course, you can still grab tickets right now at AEWTix.com. That's AEWTix.com. Bringing in my tag team partner, Eli, repping the AEW over there. I see that. I'm pretty excited about tomorrow because, I mean, I look back to when we first saw AEW in Nashville. We were like one of maybe the first handful of like Dynamite shows that rolled through.
Yep. Yeah, they started October 2019, and then they were in Nashville in November. And our guest, before we got on the air, we were reminiscing, I guess. It was the night before my birthday in 2019, and it was our guest actual debut in AEW. So it's kind of a full circle.
Yeah, it is a
with all the news going on today, yeah, kind of a lot going on.
So let's bring him in. Wardlow joins the show, the big man himself. Thank you for coming on the show today, man.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
Of course,
you're kind of a maestro with that symphony you're conducting. You know, you're kind of,
that symphony does kind of scare me.
The conductor of violence, as they say.
There you go. Yeah,
yes, the Power Bomb Symphony is something that has certainly taken off, and I think we'll be getting encore after encore after encore.
I know a lot of fans kind of hope that there's an encore, maybe a Powerbomb Symphony for a certain MJF, which we'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah.
But right before we came on to get this set up, of course, the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, is buzzing over the big news that happened earlier today. Of course, Cody and Brandy have left AEW. They've parted their ways. And let me ask you this, because you actually just posted earlier, and I've got the photo because we kind of talked about this, but you were involved in one of the first cage matches in AEW, and I'm posting this photo up on our thing right now, and it's you and Cody, and that's a hell of a shot, by the way. What is
iconic moonsault?
It is.
Sure. Yeah.
How do you possibly put this into words or sum this up?
Man, you really can't. And, people, I get asked about it all the time. Obviously, it was such a iconic moment for the company, first ever cage match. For me personally, that was my first match ever with AEW, ever on TV. So that whole night, it was almost like a blackout type of an experience. It was so much pressure, so much emotion going in to one moment. And in the blink of an eye, that moment's gone, and you're kind of left standing there going, what just happened?
Yeah.
Fortunately, what had just happened was history in the making.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, most definitely cemented my career. And that will be a match in a night that will forever be very, very special to me. I still say it was the best night of my life up until the show in Cleveland. Now that's equally the best night of my life.
We'll talk about that one too. Yeah. Well, in the event that, all this, the smoke's still kind of clearing on the Brandy and Cody news, in the event that that's all true, they are done with the company. I mean, what would your parting words be? I mean, what would you say to them on the way out?
I was, I'm just as surprised as everybody else. I woke up to see the news, so I'm still very much in the dark on the situation. But, like I said, I could speak on the situation for an hour straight, maybe longer. But for right now, without really knowing too much detail, all I can say to them is thank you. They invited me in their house. He invited me to his school to take a look at me. He made my dreams come true. I'll never have a bad word to say about Cody. I've never had anything other than a positive interaction with him, and he legit made my dreams come true, and I will forever be in his debt. I will forever thank him and be thankful for him and the opportunity he gave me. Because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys if it wasn't for him. So if this is it, I would just say thank you to him. And I just hope him and his family the best with whatever they decide to do. You know, I messaged him earlier, doing what's best for you and your family is never a bad decision,
Right.
no matter who
100%.
it affects. So I just wish them the best, and that's that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's the best way to do it, man. I mean, if you can leave and people like that send out those kind of words, I mean, that's the best kind of outcome you can expect, I think. So
For sure. And, you know, the best outcome is tomorrow night, Wednesday night in Nashville, Municipal Auditorium. AEW makes its return. You've got a big match. Of course, we're going to talk about that here shortly. But something that we've all been watching as wrestling fans, we're going to jump back into the wrestling thing. Something we've all been watching, and you see it a lot on Twitter, and you kind of start to see some cracks in the foundation of the Pinnacle. You've seen that over the past couple of weeks. And I saw that last week because I texted Eli, and I was like, they're like completely overlooking Wardlow right now during this celebration that's happening. And it's like all this stuff that's going on. So let's kind of go back. How did you get aligned with MJF before we get to what's happening with these cracks?
yeah, for a lot of people that don't know, I mean, how did you guys even get kind of paired up?
Essentially when AEW started, Max just reached out to me, and basically, long story short was, hey, I'm about to make a lot of enemies and I need somebody to watch my back. And he wrote up a contract, and he said essentially he would hire me to basically be his bodyguard or take care of business for him. And I agreed to do so. And now, after a couple years, you know, I don't think there's too many people that have a tremendous relationship with their boss. And just like any normal job, you know, your boss can get on your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen many examples of this.
Mhm.
So for now, he signs my paychecks. I'm still under contract with him. And, you know, we'll just see what the future holds.
How much longer do you have in that contract?
You know, Max and his lawyers seemingly change this contract. Every time I think something is settled, there's a new page of the contract that magically appears.
You don't remember saying, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so there's things that are being looked into.
Maybe Jade can let you borrow a smart mark and he'll take a look at it or something for
Well,
you.
that's the whole problem, is he is the one dealing with
Oh,
Max's.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
He's the one doing it. Yeah.
Realistically, I would like to powerbomb Mark Sterling before MJF.
There you go. Yeah. Well, he made it to a
guy.
GCW show here recently and got out alive. So I don't know how he did that. But so on television, you and MJF, your relationship definitely is painted as a financial agreement or arrangement, I should say. I mean, would you classify you guys as friends, or would it be more specifically like you said, he's the boss, you're the employee kind of deal?
Very much a professional relationship.
Okay.
We will leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. We'll see how things kind of unfold. Of course, AEW makes a return to Nashville Municipal Auditorium tomorrow night. Municipal Auditorium tickets, AEWTix.com. That is AEWTIX.com. Now, this is another cool thing as wrestling fans, and we finally got to see this. The world finally got to see this. CM Punk versus MJF, resulting in Punk's first loss in the AEW ring. Do you feel any responsibility in regards to Punk's loss? Because you kind of played a role in it.
I mean, realistically, I think I am the responsible one. I find myself responsible for the majority of MJF's wins, I'd say.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you most definitely can point the finger at me. I think Punk said it himself. I was the one that beat him in Chicago.
He wants that rematch.
So yeah, that's on me.
Wow. So yeah, you mentioned this earlier, and then let's just get into it. AEW was recently in Cleveland, and you came out and you pretty much got a hero's welcome. And you just said it earlier that is tied with your debut in Nashville now. What was it like being in front of your hometown crowd and at a sold out AEW show?
That was the epitome of your dreams coming true.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But I've been wanting to do this my whole life. So I vividly remember conversations in high school with, my best friend in high school saying, one day we're going to be downtown Cleveland and you guys are all going to be front row and I'm going to be performing live. And there they were, front row, my friends that I graduated with, my family, my mother, my sister, my nieces, and just having everybody that I cared about sitting front row and then being able to do what I love in a place that I dreamed of doing it forever. Just made such a special night, man. It was, I could relive that night every night. Oh. It was just incredible.
Well, and it's like, who needs the Browns when you got Wardlow, I mean, we'll rally behind him,
We'll leave it right there. And, we watched that and you could hear, like, I got and thinking about it, and I'm sure you got it. Like, what's going through your mind right before you go through that curtain? And as you're walking down that ramp, like, you just hear the entire place erupt for you.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm still getting comfortable. I'm still working on actually absorbing the crowd and taking the time to just appreciate the moment. I get so focused and such tunnel vision when it comes to matches that I never allow myself to just relax for a moment and appreciate the moment you're in. So I'm still working on that. In Cleveland, I tried to kind of look around and absorb it a little, but at the end of the day, I have a job to do. And, so it was still a little bit, it just happened so fast. It's there and it's gone. And you're like, man, I wish I could have been out there for another hour soaking that up. But yeah, amazing feeling to come out and to hear that crowd reaction. I wasn't expecting all that, and to see the signs. It's just a very unique feeling.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Us mere mortals, we try to live through it through television. So
for sure,
crank up the surround sound like I am there. So
something that's really cool that's happening when AEW returns to Municipal Auditorium. There's a big match that you're involved in, and I feel as if the symphony's going to break out for this one, but it's the Faces of the Revolution qualifying match and the Face of the Revolution ladder match. You and Max Caster going at it. I mean, going into this match, he's going to try to at least get in your head beforehand with his rap. How do you prepare for somebody like Max Caster?
So a few things here. You mentioned being in Nashville. So it's a big match in Nashville. Which means a little extra for me because my debut, November 13th, 2019, I came through the crowd in Nashville and jumped Cody Rhodes, and that was the debut of Wardlow, the first time anybody had ever seen me. So coming back to Nashville already has a little extra fire in me, which is not good for Max.
You gotta shove that microphone down his throat.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, I'm already fired up. So, but realistically, you ask how I prepare for somebody like Max. I treat every opponent the same. It doesn't matter if it's, Marco Stunt Fuego in front of me. I don't care if it's Luchasaurus or Keith Lee. It doesn't matter who's in front of me. I train the same. I train to kill. So when I step in the ring, I am prepared to go to war with a monster. So if it just so happens to be Max Caster across the ring or Marco Stunt across the ring, I'm still coming at you like I'm trying to kill a monster. So, yeah, man, it's never good for whoever's across the ring for me, monster or not.
Poor Max. Max might as well just go ahead and just lay down and just be like, all right, just go ahead. I'm going to do my rap on Wardlow real quick, and then I'm just going to roll in the ring and you just take the pin real quick.
Take the loss.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I'm a fan of Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Big fans of those guys, but again, when you're in the ring with me, doesn't matter if I like you, it doesn't matter if we're friends. You are no longer a human, you're a target.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, so you actually have a background in boxing and jiu-jitsu. And then over the last, I don't know, it seems like the last 2 to 3 months, the Powerbomb Symphony is really starting to like explode, like pops in the arenas and stuff like that. Who were, and you know, obviously you're a lifelong fan. Who were some of the wrestlers you admired growing up that maybe you've based some of your skill sets around?
So growing up, it started with Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. Yeah, Bret Hart was the first one that made me fall in love with wrestling. And then Mr. Perfect, and then it was Kevin Nash, and The Rock, and then it was very much Jeff Hardy for a number of years.
I mean, that's a pretty solid lineup there. Yeah.
Yes, and then it was Big Dave Batista.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Batista and Brock. When I started growing and hitting the weights, Brock and Batista were starting to blow up. So it was just timed out right where I looked at those guys and went, yeah, that's what we're going for now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I can get some traces of some young Batista in some of your mat skills. So yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, this is the one thing that we've loved to talk to every wrestler about, especially since Tony Khan has coined the Forbidden Door phrase. And there's continuous talks of this every single week. With AEW continuing to sign and work with some of the best in the world, are there any dream opponents you would love to face in an AEW ring? And you mentioned that you kind of hinted on talking about favoriting Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy and Matt have been talking back and forth. And could that be a potential match? And is there anything else you'd like to see? I see the smirk, so I see that smile.
Yes. I mean, just sharing a locker room with Jeff Hardy would mean the world to me. To be involved in any type of match with him would be amazing. I personally would rather team with Matt and Jeff to take on 3 others rather than wrestle Jeff myself.
I had a cough real quick.
I mean, can you imagine Wardlow and the Hardy Boys against FTR and MJF? Like, holy shit. That would be awesome.
That would be pretty wild.
John, are you taking notes over there? Thank
you. So unfortunately, you know, my career started much later than I anticipated. So I feel like I kind of missed my opportunities with what I would consider real dream opponents. I think it's kind of past most of my dream opponents' times. But the ones that still exist, actually the top one's still in AEW, and that being Kenny Omega. He's kind of like my ultimate dream opponent. You know, I think if I ever found myself in the same ring as Brock Lesnar, I think that has money just pouring out of the idea of it. I think him and I would just murder each other. I don't know if there's a ring that could hold the two of us. Yeah, but beyond that, not necessarily any real dream opponents. I just want to work with the best. I just want to be challenged. I want whoever thinks they're the best in the world. That's who I want to wrestle.
I mean, that's pretty much the best answer, I think. So
Definitely, for sure.
So this is a hypothetical. So let's assume that the relationship you have with MJF continues to kind of go this path, and we kind of go. If it gets to the point where the money's not enough anymore, I mean, how much? I guess the way I'm trying to ask is, like, if MJF crosses you, how bad is it going to be? I mean, what are you going to bring after everything you've dealt with him after, being his employee?
Oh man, obviously every man has a breaking point, and as much as I love making a lot of money, yes, there's certain things where money's not worth it when it comes to being disrespected. Max says things without speaking. He has no filter, and he often comes across as being extremely disrespectful. And he has said things that maybe the average person wouldn't get away with saying to me. But he's never done anything so disrespectful that's, made me question, my job or anything like that. He's never put his hands on me. I know he's smarter than that.
Yeah.
But after a couple years, just the little comments and some of the way he's treated me, and most importantly, some of the things he's altered with the contract, that's what really has upset me. And that's where I feel the disrespect comes in. So like I said, I'm looking into some things. I'm most definitely reaching a point with him. And I don't want it to boil over because I'm afraid of what will happen.
That's going to be, let me know and I'll give you my wallet so I can buy a plane ticket and flight for whenever that match is going to happen. But I will tell you this, and everybody that's come on the show, this is kind of our thing. And we proved this last week. Everybody that comes on this show goes on to win the title. So you're in good company because we're expecting a title. I would say that TNT title is going to be coming home to you soon. But I will go ahead and put this out there as of February 15th, that within a year, there's going to be an AEW World Heavyweight title around Wardlow's waist.
How about that?
And
I'm going to mark that on my calendar.
I'm going to make sure that happens because, again, everybody that's come on this show has gone on to win some sort of championship. Last week, we talked to Matt Cardona. What happens over the weekend? NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Yep. So, I mean, you're in good graces on this show. You're in the, I guess, the good battleground odds. So there's going to be a title coming Wardlow's way within the next year.
I appreciate that. Yeah, well, speaking of the match this week, if I win, I qualify for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So that will be, I think, Keith Lee, or Keith Lee's already qualified.
Yep.
Is he the only one? Is it just
he's the only one? That was last week was the first match. You're the second match for this.
Okay, so potentially myself, Keith Lee, 4 other guys that we don't know yet, all in a ladder match, which in itself is insane. But yes, if I win that, I will have a shot at the TNT title. According to Max, if I win that, that will be handed right over to him.
Hell, it will.
But
we ain't doing no finger poke of doom here anymore.
I am anticipating getting that title. Absolutely.
And that's the plan. That's what we call it on this show. Well, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but we've kind of been having the little scroll wheel going down at the bottom where people can follow you at. But for those that are listening to this instead of watching this, where can people keep up with you online?
Online, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Real Wardlow. Other than that, you can just check out AEW Dark Matches and any AEW highlights on YouTube. And that's about it. Tomorrow, we are in Nashville, Tennessee, AEW Dynamite, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And it is going to be a hell of a show.
Super pumped for that show. We're
super excited.
Well, Wardlow, again, thank you for coming on the show. We're looking forward to AEW Dynamite tomorrow night. We're going to be in the crowd yelling, making sure you win that match. And
yeah.
If you hear us, it'll be us saying, "Go Wardlow."
Something like that.
I'll keep an eye out for you guys.
Well, Wardlow, again, thank you for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you on, and definitely look forward to getting you back on very, very soon, especially when you have that gold around your waist.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are. Yes, within the next year, we'll get that title and we'll get back on and talk about it.
Definitely, for sure. Well, Wardlow, again, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll see you tomorrow night in Nashville.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.